back on the Ford job, the 428 Cobra Jet. This thing, I don't have a line home, and I don't have a crank balancer, so I sent that out, got that done. So now it's been decked, it's been rough honed, and I'm just doing a plateau hone, which basically is just a finer stone after your coarse hone to knock off the high spots. The ring seats a little quicker and a little nicer, and with these small rings we're using, that little rough hone would probably eat them up anyway. Wouldn't be the best idea. So this is the way we go with it. They do seem to break in immediately. Every time I do this, you put them on a dyno or whatever, it's just, you can tell. There's no breather smoke, there's no nothing, and I mean, right off the bat. So it's a great way to do it. It's easy. You just throw another set of fine stones in when you're done. I left about a thou to cut out with these, which doesn't take anything. After coarse hone, maybe 8 strokes, I'm there. So far I've got the cylinders all within 5/10 thousandths everywhere, which is fine. I don't have a deck plate to fit this FE block, so I'm cutting them a little looser than maybe I would. Piston calls for 2.5 minimum of clearance, and I'm gonna have 3.5, 3,750, something like that. But anyway, I'm very close to where I want to be. It'll seal up fine. I'd rather err on the side of being loose than tight. It's forged piston, so I mean, usually you kind of want to be around 4 on most of them. This one's a little different aluminum, so they call for a little tighter fit. But you're going to tear up way more shit being too tight than being too loose. I mean, within reason. You can't be rattling around in there. But I mean, if you're worried about even on bearings and anything else, I'd rather be, if I'm really close to, if I'm going to be obviously again, there's a little tolerance you want to play in. But if I'm going to be on the tight side of a tolerance or the loose side of a tolerance, I'd probably rather be on the loose side of a tolerance, although I have pushed that in the past and gotten away with it. But I'm more comfortable if I have a little room, and just because things do change under temperatures, and I'd rather have, the oil will take up any slack, well, any tolerance, regular tolerance slack, the oil will take it up. You can see where I dragged my bore mic up through it. It leaves a little mark. It's kind of, doesn't mount to anything, but you can see it's got a nice crosshatch. It's ready to rock. It'll hold enough oil to work well. It's very smooth, and you put your hand in it, it's just very, very smooth now. You get in one of the other ones, you actually can feel a little bit. So, and you can see, I think the sleeves are, I can't remember which side I put the sleeves in now. It looks the same on everything. You can see where it was done. There's no mark. You can't tell where the sleeve was now, but it's been decked. So you really couldn't tell a lot before, but you could see a little material difference. Once you deck it, it's 100% in. Here's what I'm talking about. This one is right on. I've got a few of them that are 5/10,000ths off and, you know, taper. Or 1/2 I usually set. Well, it's been a long day, but I'm almost done for the day. Got everything homed, everything through the wash cabinet. My rods, I resized one of them on the big end, and everything, I touched it a bit on the small end to get the clearances where I wanted it. So that's slick as cat shit on the linoleum floor now. And now I'm dealing with these satanic little bastard clips. And these things, I call them satanic because I'm sure whoever designed them was in some kind of satanic ritual. These little buggers are just hell to deal with. They do stay in place good though. They're actually not as bad to put in as they are to try to get back out. If you make a mistake on one, you got to start fishing. It'll make you swear. As my grandfather used to say, it'll make a preacher swear. But you hear what people pay to get these engines built. You kind of need to take into account how many hours it takes to actually build one. They're really not just a yesterday job and they're done. I gotta put the old man glasses on here to make sure I get these things in the groove right. Because I really don't want something coming apart. Once you do a few, they go fairly smooth. You gotta kind of get in the groove of it every time. I guess if you did them every day, you'd be alright. But I've cut my fingers so many places trying to do these things. They're sharp little shits. Beat yourself half to death doing it. I'm trying to find my end where I put the last one, because you put 2 per side. They are effective though. I've not seen any failures with them. So I have to give credit where credit's due. But doesn't mean I have to like putting them in. Put a little assembly grease on here. This is a high zinc assembly lube, which is a pretty nice thing to have. Sure as hell don't want everything dry in there. And I make double sure about my orientation because, like I say, I don't want to have to take these clips out because they are just a bastard. So if you look on the rod, you can see you got a chamfered side and flat side. Your flat side is going to run up against the other rod, so pretty easy. This is the rearward bank, so the chamfer faces to the back. On that bank, chamfer faces towards the front. I want the valve reliefs up, I want the chamfer towards the back, and that's it. Put my pin in, and then deal with the other clips. But I sure as heck don't want to do it twice. Then tomorrow, I gotta start grinding filing rings. So we'll look at that. That's another job, takes a little while. There are quite a few things on this block that's gonna take a little time. I bought a shaft rocker setup for it. I don't know. It looks like it's in gonna be quite a lot of shimming and screwing around because I mean not only do I have to shim it up and down to make it work good on the tip of the valve, I've got to shim it side to side. It's all in pieces. It looks like it's going to be one of those things that's going to take me some time. Plus, I need to really take those new heads apart and just check the valve job on them. And we do need to put better springs because it doesn't come with a roller cam spring. that I'm trying to find my end here. So that is just something we're going to have to deal with to make sure that's what we want. Trying to find these ends. I guess I should have had better glasses here tonight. Got to get that down so that clip can get in over top of the other one and get into the groove. Because you can't just shove these damn things in there to where they'll kind of get wadded up on the other one and not be in place, which would be really not a good thing. And there. That son of a gun is done. So double check my orientation, which is right, chamfered back, valve relief at the top. And there. That's it. So tomorrow we'll get at it and do rings, drive the cam bearings in it, and maybe start putting it together. Get the short block together tomorrow maybe. That'd be good. And then I guess we'll start dealing with that head issue. But it shouldn't be too bad, but just take time. Alright, I'm out. So why do we file fit rings? And that is a big question, because we can buy them if we don't need to file fit. And I'm not sure on this one. We probably should have just bought the ones we didn't have to file fit. But this is what we have. End gap is important though. And that is the one thing we do have control of in this case. So we get the maximum amount of seal with the minimum amount of problems. What happens is these rings heat up and they expand. And then the butts touch. I mean, it can get very, very, very hard in the cylinder, to the point where this ring will stick in the cylinder, which is going to blow the top off your piston, is the general rule, as the result of that. You look at these rings right here, right now, and I can prove it right now. If you look, this ring is sitting in there. You can't even see the end gap now. I mean, it's tight. I can't get it square in the bore. It's so tight. You can see the piston is not level. Get the shot here. It's not level, and if I try to force it to be level, it's almost, but I cannot push that at this point. I'm not going to go crazy here, but I can't push that at this point. It's stuck. It's jammed right in there. So as that ring is in the cylinder and heats up, that's what happens. You put nitrous on them, of course it heats way more. A turbo on them, it heats. It's the same idea. If you look, we have a formula that we follow for our ring gap to tell us what we need. So we're on street strip circle, alky or 85, alky gassy 85. My bore, which is 4.155 times 0.0045, first and second ring, it's 0.0186, so I'll do 19 thousandths. I'll call 20 my biggest, but I'd rather err a little big than a little small because of that. You'll see nitrous I didn't do the figure, but it's 0.0055 on a small shot. As you go into a bigger shot, 500 plus, 0.008. So imagine, you're talking way more ring gap. But that's why you do that, because the more pressure, the more heat you're putting in a cylinder, the bigger the issue is with the ring gap. So we grind them, and we just put them. I just have this little machine, it's not expensive, and I cut my ring gaps with that. And you keep putting them in, checking them, see if it's gap tighter where I want it. And then when you're all done, there's a little burr on it, so you just take a hand file and you just cut the little burrs off, and that's it. It's just time consuming. It's not difficult, it's just time consuming. So I know I have a good 20 to cut here, without a question. I can see that. This ring has a little fixture. You place your ring in here. You make sure it's very square on the grinding wheel. You don't want to have your ends, you know, ideally. Again, it's not going to kill the engine, but just, I'd rather have the gap one nice. So, just set our little dial here, this is a rough guesstimate of what you need to do. But I will cut, supposed to be able to cut, I want it done. This thing is battery powered. I thought I had it charging. Apparently it wasn't plugged in well, so this is going to be a process. So far I've only taken 4,000 off of this ring. This is a hard top ring though. And again, this, I'm not going to just whack 20 off and then check it, because I may be way too big. So I'm going to take 10 off and I'll check it. See if I'm getting even cold. If this darn thing was charged, this would be going a hell of a lot better right now. This part is, I hit the button and it rang, but as soon as it was charging, I don't know what happened between then and now, but there's 10. That is frustrating. I believe we'll walk away from that for a bit, let it charge, and we'll do something else. I do have a gap there now. It does go in there now. I have an 18. Check that. And I still have more to go. I need to cut. I'll cut another 5 or 6 and check it. We'll probably finish this ring and then go do something else for a while. I got my fuel injection parts for the Camaro, so I'll go try and get that thing to run. Stick that injector on. Oh my God. Things aggravating to a new level here. I've had this thing for years, maybe getting time for another one. I'm not patient enough. sit there and babysit that thing all day. There, I've got 18. Do I have 20? I have 20. It's very tight, which is fine. That I can live with. I will. So what I do to keep track of these rings is I keep them right in the cylinder that I'm working on. I just shove this one way down. So my top ring will be there. When I finish this hole, I'll put the O-rings on the piston. I'll pull the second ring out because that's going to go on first. And so my top ring will be at the bottom, which works fine. And that will go on obviously last. And that's that. And then that piston, I'll put it in the box over there in the number 2 hole. And I'll just work my way down through until we've done that. So as you can see, it's going to be a while. So that's probably all that anybody needs to watch. It's long and boring, but it does do a nice job. It's a nice way to build an engine, but it's just, you know, it's just boring shit. But thought maybe somebody wanted to see it. All right, we got one of our local engine builders that likes to share a video of a ratchet turning the motor, as though he's something special for doing it with the weight of the ratchet. I have to tell you, if that won't happen, you need to tear it apart and fix whatever won't let it happen. Because a bare crank needs to turn that easy. If not, you've got a line hone issue, you've got a clearance issue, you've got something. And we've measured them here where they measured dead nuts perfect, but you still couldn't turn the crank good and it's sticky starting. We'd send them out, get them line hone, bring them back, turn like butter. So if you've got one that won't do that, stop. Stop now.
You're not special if it does it either.
No, you're not special if it does it. But if it doesn't do it, you're in trouble.
You're fixing to be special.
You're going to take a bearing out.
If
So
you let it go out of your shop, you're going to be special.
the crank is 2.738 inches in diameter. We measured it, set the bore mic to that. We've got 2.5 thousandths of clearance on all the rear 4, and the front one's got 3. So just within spec. I'm happy with it. It'll work. It's December 31st, 2022. We started this thing in 2020, I think. This December 2020 he brought this up. Ridiculously long time. Ridiculously hard piece of crap to get parts for. Ridiculously hard. But it's almost together. Put the last piston rod in now. And shows you everything else. We'll show you this. Well, let's hope 2023 is a little easier to get stuff. I haven't seen any sign of it yet, but let's hope, because it's ridiculous. We were down at PRI. It didn't sound like there was going to be any real quick change on the horizon. Nobody had anything great to say. These ARP rod bolts, they do stabilize these caps like crazy, but they make your life a little difficult to get the cap off. It presses onto this knurl. The lower cap presses onto that knurl, which does, I mean, it's awesome. It stabilizes everything, but it will make a preacher swear. The other thing you gotta do, put my glasses off. I like to clock my rings here, make sure I double check everything before I put it in. You know, obviously the wrist pin's free. I don't know if I can get that. I like to have top ring on the side over the pin, the other top ring over the other side of the pin, and then my oil gap I like to have dead on the skirt. One on one skirt, one on the other skirt. trying to see them. Here they are. And that's it. What's up, dear? Piston in it. Man. You gotta turn your radio off, though. Can't have the music. They don't like that when you have trademark music.
Oh, I suppose, eh?
No, it's really a pain in the butt. You, I'll have you tap that piston down and like that, you're gonna run bolts over. Tap that down. Alright. That's good.
Wheat is down.
It's really nice and easy.
Yeah.
Oh, darn, super good. I mean, it should.
Yeah.
There's clearance in it. Fussy. There's no good reason why it wouldn't turn. Slick as a pin.
Boy, it's warm today again.
It is. I got all the doors open. I wanted to
I
burn
know.
that fire a little bit because the chimney was just getting all,
Plugged up?
well, stunk.
Oh.
So, whole fire is no good. Pretty nice for the end of December.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'll have to go, I'll go this afternoon to Granby, see if I can get a stove.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've got,
You got them in stock?
there's two places that have them in stock. One has the slide-in, in the stainless.
Mm-hmm.
The other one has the freestanding one, but in the black stainless.
Okay.
So, the other ones you'd have to order if you wanted either of the other ones.
Still don't understand why they call a stove a sliding. The hell you gonna slide it into the counter? I mean, like the
No, but
burners on top.
in between counters.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, one you can, but
There's marketing, I think.
it's just the way. So I don't know what it's gonna be when I get there. You know, maybe either place is gonna have something. So it's gonna be either.
Yeah, that's it, that's it there. There you go. You see that needle goes up and then back? I'll just try and get that highest spot. Try and get right in the middle of the dwell. We can do it with a dial indicator and get super fussy. Or not a dial indicator, but with a degree wheel, which we may do after. But I'm just trying to get her close right now just to see where we're at. See how far down in the deck we are, and all that kind of thing. Well, that's it. We'll put the cam in and we'll see if we're going to degree it or not. We'll see what we got for piston and valve clearance and go from there. Nice new roller cam. No flat tappet woes here. Hydraulic roller. I have to remember the gears on the wrong end. And we'll put this bad boy in here at 0 for now and see where we go. I'm just looping this thing up with 2050 high zinc because this is going to sit for a while, and that damn assembly lube sometimes can be an issue. Can get kind of crystallized. So, cam specs are not crazy, but still. Duration is 50. 243 intake, 257 exhaust. At 6, it's 299, 319. 589 intake lift, 573 exhaust lift. It'll be pretty spicy. We just got to come up with enough intake to support it, because that's an issue so far. And that looks like another long wait. So we're gonna see how that goes. And then our heads, we'll see what we end up doing with those. We'll just do a little bit of port work too. We should be able to get some decent numbers out of it. They're brand new heads. I don't know how much we'll go to grinding on them. We'll see. We'll get them out, really look them over, pull the valves out of them, have a look, see what they need, and go from there. Not too bad. Fully assembled, rotating. Valve springs and everything don't really seem to add a hell of a lot to it, because as you got one going up, you got one coming down, and it really doesn't change it a lot, so not too bad. I wish I was done with this, but I'm not, so we're going to be looking at a part 3. I guess there's not much choice, because this is too long, this video now, so. So our block is done. Everything's all good. So next step is heads and figure out push rods and figure out that rocker arm assembly. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to take. It'd be interesting to get into it. We do have to change valve springs on the new heads. We got to go for the roller cam, and I've got those. And we may do a little bit of port work on them, in which case we'll shoot a little bit of video of that. Kind of interesting. Ty's pretty good on that stuff, so we'll see. Don't know if I can flow them or not. I'm not sure what I got for a fixture for those FE heads. We'll see. But that'll be upcoming.